back to another lap guide video in the iRacing Formula iR-04. My name is Bart, and today we're going around Rudskogen. Let's get into the hot lap. Okay, so getting over to the right-hand side of the track nice and early. Braking should be at the start of this curb on the right. No earlier than the 100-meter board here on the right to start with, I would think, for braking. The car stops pretty quick. We can be really aggressive to peak pressure as well in these heavy braking zones in this car. So you can see straight away up to about 89% brake pressure. Hold that. And then bleed out fairly quickly as well as we turn into a corner like this. There's kind of a medium speed left-hand corner in third gear, going down from fifth to third. And you can use this curb a little bit to help you just widen off the entry into the first corner. It's not huge though, because we've got a bit of a switchback coming up here. Track limits for this corner, really tricky, really aggressive as well. You will get a slow down, not an off track. So you've got to be very careful in this section. You've got to keep at least part of your tire on the white line. So you can see here, we keep our right-hand tires just about in contact with the white line. That's the limit of what's legal there. But you can use as much of the green. It's all about just how much this white line you can, keep your tires on. And this is a corner where it's quite tricky because it's you can't go as fast as possible through this left, until you're forced all the way to the right-hand side of the track, because you've got to set up for this long right-hander that's coming up here, turn 2. It takes us down what's the longest straight on the track, so it's an important exit. So generally here, I would say we need to, you can see I'm on throttle before I get to this apex. And that's, again, I think a thing with this car in general, you want to have that early throttle pickup. It's a lot more easier to control on the throttle, this car. So, if we're coasting it or still on the brake, it's going to be a bit unstable. Probably push the entry too much, and we might get a snap of oversteer. So you can see here, car turns in quite nicely. We just pick up the throttle just to carry a bit of momentum, settle the rear end of the car. You can see I don't actually get to full throttle. It's kind of just a maintenance throttle to just control the car and position ourselves for this next right-hander. This corner for me is just, you want to aim as much as possible to hook the right wheels on the curb. It is a flat curb, but it does, you'll see with a bit of practice that it does actually hook the car around quite a lot. So I like to sit on it. You don't need to hold it for a long time, but certainly at the start of the corner, we want to be quite tucked into it. And because the corner kind of starts a bit cambered, then goes off camber, we do want to stay fairly narrow in terms of track usage, because if you go wide early, you'll pick up a ton of understeer. You'll go really wide. You'll use way more track. You'll get a lot of scrub on the front tires, and you'll get a poor exit. So we don't want to be running out, say, to where this blue cone is on the pit exit. It's too early to be running out wide. So just lifting here, I think that's kind of, again, it's a tricky section. That's your indicator of, did I carry enough speed through turn 1, or did I carry too much? So if you have to brake for this right, you've pushed turn 1 too much. Then you have to slow down the car too much, and it's going to affect the minimum speed you carry through here in your exit. So really, you want to go through turn 1 as quick as you can, while still getting good rotation through here, hooking onto this curb and just being able to lift out the throttle to get the car turned in. So yeah, definitely too quick if you're already on the white line on the right-hand side, having to brake and really tightening up this corner. And you see we're kind of in a straight line as well. The track kind of supports us here. We're going on a diagonal towards where we want to be with this curve. And you see, as soon as I get a bit of rotation here, I'm on the throttle. Okay, get the car rotated, then you can pick up the throttle and be quite smooth on the steering. Right here is pretty much the limit. You don't want to be, again, running outside the white line because it kind of track loses a bit of grip and it drops away. So even though technically you could be on the throttle earlier and run out wide, it's no faster. Okay, so you'll be up to just about up to 6th gear if you get a good exit here. Now this is quite tricky. Arguably, one of the 2 trickiest corners on the track. You got well, the next corner is actually this right-hander coming up. You can just about see at the bottom of the hill on the right. But it all starts with our preparation here. So first things first, left tire is on the red and white curb. You've got grass on your left at the moment, but as soon as it goes into bitumen, into runoff, that's when we need to move over and take a little bit of track usage here. And as long as you keep your right tires on the white line, you are legal here and you won't get off track. There's no time penalty here. So this is one that just takes practice because I'll show you from the cockpit camera. It's pretty blind because of the uphill and we're in such a low car. So you can only just see the runoff on the left just when you reach it. So, and by that point, we're already starting to turn to the corner. So it's just one of those things, practice. You don't have to start with your left wheels all over the outside of the track here, but definitely start moving in that direction because it's worth quite a bit in a competitive series like F4 into quite a tricky corner like this. It's good to be maximizing our entry. So yeah, just running the left wheels on the onto the tarmac on the left there once the grass finishes. And you should be just running out a little bit so that the right tire's gone to the white line, and then we're going to start turning into this corner. So you'll still be flat out while you're turning in here, flat out, flat out, flat out, and you'll be braking just about as we come across this merge line here at the 50-meter board on the right-hand side. Is kind of your reference roughly, but super important here. We're just aiming for this curve, maybe not right at the start of it, but just a little bit past it. You can see that's when we meet. That's when we meet the inside here. It's just about at this point over here. So important that we're aiming for that. Turning in flat out, and then we have a nice soft brake. If you brake really heavily here, you're going to upset the car. It probably will also lock up as well. So don't be super aggressive with your brake. This isn't about brake efficiency. This is about controlling the car, controlling the attitude of the car, and trying to carry momentum through the next double right. So you can see it's not a very hard brake. From me here, it's about 25%, 20% brake pressure. Just holding a little bit of brake and then bleeding out just to carry the momentum through the corner. And like I said, you want to really carry as much speed as you can through this next section without sliding the car and without running off over this white line. If you go to this white line on the left-hand side, the track massively drops away and you'll be dragged outside the track and you'll lose huge amounts of time. So make sure that we're not running even one wheel off there, ideally. Soft brake, carrying the speed, you'll be forced out to the edge of the track next to this white line on the left-hand side. That's where you should be. So down to 5th there and down to 4th here. And again, soft brake, really soft brake for me, just kind of fettling the car, about 10% brake pressure as I down change to help the car turn in to 4th gear. Just a little bit of braking. It's all about this little brake that we're doing here is just all about helping the car turn in, trying to maintain as much speed as possible. We're not trail braking all the way in, but we just want to be kind of on the edge of just managing with the brake, trying to coast to carry a little bit of speed through here. And so again, we can have this early throttle pickup, and you don't want to be massively pushing the entry on the second right here, because if you go off the rubber line and you kind of again end up off cambered and losing a lot of time, and it's very hard to get back to the right, which is where we want to be on the exit this corner. So yeah, aiming to hook the car on this curb here, meeting the end of the curb is where my reference is to know, okay, I've reached the right point in the track here, I've slowed the car down, and it's So this whole section, so quite tricky, is all about just carrying speed up to this point. And then pick up the throttle. As soon as you get that rotation, you feel like you're going to get to the inside curve, you can pick up the throttle as early as you can. Full throttle here. Working quite hard to get the car back to the right. White. Again, your reference should be, can I get the right-hand side of the car up to the white line here where this curb starts? And aiming for this left-hander. So again, similar to turn one, it's just about the white line here. So we're very on the edge of what's possible. You can see my right front tire does cross over, but my right rear tire stays on the white lines. This is the limit of what's legal. But it's really important to maximize it here. If you do cut, you will get a time penalty. So you have to be very accurate here. So build up to this. And you will be turning in, you can see I'm turning in flat and I only lift 5-10%. And that's just because I'm feeling a bit of understeering. I'm feeling a bit of push into the car. So when that happens, just lift a little bit to help the car turn. This section's all about carrying speed and preparation, right? So that's why we got it fully right here. Now we're going to get it as left as much as possible. And then right through here. And see, we're lifting out, and that's just because it's going to slow down as we go through here. We need to make sure we rotate the car right and really prepare this long left hand that's coming up. Our track limits are the same here. It's the white line. And you're going to end up about mid-track here. If you're over to the right, you've slowed it down too much, and it's going to be too much work to go back to the left. If you're over to the left-hand side white line, you've gone in too fast, and you're going to narrow up this corner too much. So it's very much a balance here. It's going to be a bit different every lap, so it just takes a lot of practice. And again, another blind left-hand corner. Not a heavy brake you can see from me. Kind of a medium, fairly soft brake, 30% brake, dab on the brake, down to third gear. And this corner, I'd say two main priorities for this corner. One is rolling the speed. We want to roll quite a bit of speed because it's such a long corner. If you overslow the car, which I think is the main danger here, you brake too much, you slow down the car too much, you're going to feel the throttle really early, or you're going to be encouraged to, and that's going to upset the car. You're going to have to lift out the throttle multiple times through this next corner, and we don't really want that. Whereas if you can brake a bit softer, carry the momentum, and it'll help the car rotate through the corner, then it's going to go a long way towards getting a good lap time. So you can see here, just soft brake from me, and again, a bit like the previous section, I'm just managing it on the brakes. Just trailing the brake in, trying to keep some weight on the nose. What I will say as well in this car, if you do carry too much speed and ask too much of it on the steering, over this crest, the rear will get quite light and will try to spin on you. So that's the balance there. How much speed can I carry over this crest and through this left-hand corner without the rear snapping on me? Quite tricky. We don't want to run out very wide here. I found on this track it's really important to stay where the rubber line is. It helps the car just grip more. It feels like if you go half a car width wide than this, you're going to really struggle to get left here. And we really want to aim for this inside curb. You can see on this lap, I don't quite get it. I don't have quite an early throttle pickup. But it is really nice if you can get hooked up on this red and white curb on the left, similar to the second corner, and just sit on it for a little bit as you pick up the throttle, and it'll kind of hook the car around the corner. And you can see that I had a little bit of a snap there. But the main thing is I kept it full throttle and just managing the scrub on the steering the way out. And you can run up, run off on this runoff area, but you're probably going to lose quite a bit of time if you run wide and then cut back across, just with the way this car is. And if you hit the grass, obviously you're going to get off track. So back to the left-hand side now for this short straight. Downhill braking zone. So you're going to generally have to brake a little bit earlier than you think here. So you have to brake a little bit earlier than you think here. Your braking reference is that 50-meter board on the right. It's going to be roughly there. Definitely have your left wheels all over this red and white curb on the left. Going to make a big difference in a corner like this. And don't get sucked into looking over here and braking super late. We've got to make sure we're looking around for this apex. It's quite a long way away. It's quite challenging for us to be looking that far around the corner. So positioning the car nice and early. Really efficient hard brake for the first time since pretty much the first corner. For what's the heaviest braking zone on the track, getting about 90% brake pressure here. You see hold the brake pressure down to second gear. The car's going to want to understeer a bit as you turn in on the fixed setup. So that's why we just have to maintain the brake. You can see here I trail the brake in, so make sure you do that. If you hold the brake pressure and do a really good job slowing the car down initially, but you don't trail the brake in here, you are going to understeer quite a bit just because of the downhill nature of the approach. And that the corner should come to you. So as you go round the first part of the corner, you're gonna start gaining a bit of grip at the front, and then you should be able to pick up the throttle like we see here. Quite a tricky hairpin this. So yeah, like I said, brake efficiency and then trailing the brake to get it rotated and still trying to roll a bit of speed as well. All right, quick on the throttle. You can run out again onto the off-track area here. Just be careful we're not running out too much and putting too much scrub on the wheel and stalling the car on the straight. I like to work quite hard to get back to the right here. I think it's really important for opening up this entry. And again, we've got the white line track limit on the entry here. And that's why you can see quite quickly I'm going to the right here, whereas some people take a shorter line. I think it just helps a little bit better with consistency and also the angle we have on approach for this next left-hand corner. So just down one gear into third gear here, and this is all about momentum this corner. So it's a short, soft brake, and it's really just to slow the car down a little bit and to get it rotated into the corner. Really early throttle pickup. So all that rotation should come from the gear change and the brake as you steer into the corner. And then just managing the rear as it starts to slide, just catching it on the throttle. Again, white line track limits, really easy to get a cut here on the inside. Again, make sure the off-track here is really aggressive if you stay out wide too long. So just being aware of that, we can't run any wider than this. And then into this left-hand kink, this is flat out. Ideally, maybe start with a lift at first. The car's going to understeer quite a bit, but if you're aggressive with the steering, you will get it in flat. Again, track limits to the white line here. So as long as we have these right tires over the white line, will be okay. But again, super, super easy to get track limits. Just being aware of that. You can see I'm working the whole time. I'm not just getting around the corner. I keep steering left after we go past the curb. That's to really open up this long right-hander last corner. So we can get a kind of... It's quite difficult and it's not perfect. But this little kind of straight braking phase as we go across the inside curb here. And we're going to push past the apex of the corner. So it's quite a tricky corner, so I'll probably slow down and break it down a bit more. We need to... It's a corner where you need to be maintaining a lot of speed because it's a very long corner, a bit like the long left-hander earlier in the lap. So we need to keep that in mind, but we've also got the second longest straight on the track. So it's really important to get a good exit as well. And it's probably going to have a big effect on whether we get overtaken or whether we can overtake. So with those two things in mind, I'd say the main things I'd focus on here. I think a lot of the time people overbrake. They slow the car down too much, potentially too early. They end up too tight to the inside curb. And then they're on throttle too early, but they're kind of going on, off, on, off, on, off. So making it so we have we're consistently picking up the throttle, in one committed move. Even if we have to, lean into it a bit slower, as long as we're not going on, off, on, off, on, off, and upsetting the balance of the car, and it's just not. I mean, it's always a good sign you can carry more speed into the corner. And it's certainly the case on a corner like this. And I think the other thing that's really important here is you don't want to run too wide. And again, if you're over braking, or what I would say is you're over emphasizing how late you want to brake into the corner for lap time. It's not really going to help you here. So if you really push the braking, chase the braking, and you go for a really aggressive V kind of double apex technique. So by that, I mean you're running all the way out to the white line on the left-hand side of the track and then cutting back. That could work in theory. It doesn't really work lap time-wise, especially in this car here. You just end up scrubbing a lot of speed, taking a lot more track, and going on a dirty part of the track that doesn't have that much grip. So that's why we're not going to be super hard on the brakes. We're not going to be chasing the lap time by being super late on the brakes, but we do want to have a fairly soft brake. So you can see again, about 30-35% brake from me, just managing that. Quite a slow bleed off the brakes. Because similar to that long left-hander, we want to trail a bit of brake just to help the car rotate. You can see I run about let's say a car width and a half wide of the inside curb, I wouldn't run any wider than this. You can kind of see the track's a bit darker here. I certainly found if you run wider than this, you just don't have the grip anymore, and it's a lot faster closer to the curb. But at the same time, if you're too close to the curb, like I said earlier, you'll be on the throttle too early, and you'll be coming in on off on off on off. So you can see here, one throttle pickup from me, I never go backwards. So soft brake, maintain the speed, quite a gentle turn as well. So we don't have to hack into the corner and really aggressively, sharply turn the car. Just a kind of a long, gentle turn. The car's a little bit loose here. Just trying to rotate it with a bit of trail braking. And then we just pick up the throttle. If it starts sliding, pick up the throttle a little bit to look after the rear. That'll calm it down. And then lean onto the throttle, kind of build up the throttle as it comes close to the inside curb. Because again, this inside curb is your friend. It's your friend here. It's your friend all the way around the corner. It's going to help hook the car up. So if you can get onto the inside curb in this phase, then it will help you turn that little bit around the corner, just if you think you're understeering a bit. And that's, again, why you don't want to be running super wide as well. So you can see here, okay, now I know I'm going to hit the curb. I can go to full throttle. That's going to help me around the corner. And then, again, really important, make sure we're not holding onto a ton of steering lock around this corner either, because it will make a big difference onto your exit. And you can run, as you see here, with our right tires onto the white line. So you can run a little bit wide on that exit as well. So just keeping that in mind. But that take... Ugh. But that's pretty much it for the last corner. And that takes us to the end of the lap. So that takes us to the end of the video, guys. If you've got any questions about today's lap guide, put them in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and to be aware of more great content on the Coach Dave Academy YouTube channel. And I'll see you next week for more lap guide videos. And check out the Discord in the description.